Hey, yo, welcome back to another edition of the PHNX Rising Show, brought to you by the DraftKings Sportsbook app, America's #1 sportsbook app. I'm Ramon Chavez, and as always, I got my partner here, Owen Evans. How you doing, sir?
Well, it's another busy week. I feel like we just keep saying this, don't we? It doesn't help they are all busy weeks. Big one coming up now on Wednesday, which is tomorrow. I'm losing
Yes,
track of days.
yes, it
I,
is.
the mid-year meetings last year, that time around Christmas where you just kind of lose
Oh,
track
yeah,
of,
everything just blends in.
like,
Yeah,
everything just blends into one, and it's like, is it a Thursday or a Monday? I don't know, but hey,
you never
it's
know. Yeah,
yeah.
I mean, I'm sure you guys are enjoying the fact that we basically have a show ready to talk some football, some soccer, some PHNX branded soccer. But yeah, as you guys, if you're watching the show live, you can see I got a new vinyl here. I will put this out there because I'm trying to be cool with y'all. Is that there's a song in that album right there that's named that. Let's see, how do I phrase it? There's a song in that album that names the city that Owen will be going to and Rising will be playing at tomorrow. And if you can tell me the name of that song in the while we're here on the show today, I'll buy you a draft of Four Peaks on Saturday if you're there. No, we'll see. So I'm just gonna throw that out there. I know Owen's not a fan of this, but I'll try to make it a little fun. Well, what's it called? Anyway, let's get started with the show. We got a great show for y'all today. I know Owen's just shaking his head. Trying to make it fun for
Yeah.
y'all. Got a great show for you guys today. Obviously, we're going to talk about the game against Oakland tomorrow. Rising is going up there to Northern California. It's going to be a fun time. We got some big news as far as another player joining the squad of Phoenix Rising this week. Actually, we just got the news literally hours ago, so we'll be talking about that. And then, of course, we're going to just talk about a little bit around what's going on with the USL. So let's go ahead and get started, Owen. So tomorrow, Rising will head up north, face off against Oakland. I feel like these teams are kind of in the same, how do I say it? As far as like the same kind of space as far as the season is concerned. They're not in the top of the league. They're not in the middle of the pack. They're kind of struggling to kind of get up there. What are you expecting to see with Oakland tomorrow facing off against Rising?
Well, I feel as though Oakland, when you look at how they started the season, it was bad. They started
Mm.
the season incredibly poorly, and it took a little bit of time for it to all click. But right now, it's clicking. They still have some results here and there that aren't great, but then you look at others where they played, like, where they played El Paso a couple of weeks ago, and they put 4 on them before half time.
Yeah, yeah. No, and
That's
it's.
just.
Do you feel like it's a Jekyll and Hyde kind of thing, or what's going on with this team?
I feel like it's just a case where sometimes things won't click on any given day. They're
Mm.
not necessarily putting together a string of bad results now. They really shot themselves in the foot by the way that they started the season to an extent, but
Mhm.
they're still in the conversation. They're still right there and thereabouts. And as has been mentioned just now by Pat in the chat, they have an incredibly, incredibly dangerous forward who you really, really have to worry about. So
Yeah, for sure. So if you guys aren't aware, Oakland right now they're currently in 10th place in the Western Conference, 28 points. But the thing that kind of will maybe hamper them the further we get along the season is the fact that they have a few more games in hand than maybe the rest of the Western Conference. They played 23 games so far, and they've only managed to get 28 points. So if Rising can get a result here, it can kind of cut into their lead a little bit, and they can kind of start thinking about maybe that 7th or 6th place in the Western Conference for the last spot. So Oakland is 2-2-1 in their last 5 games. And like you said, they had that big win against El Paso, but then you see other performances that are not so great. So what can since we're already talking about the players here, besides Otar Carlson, is there anybody else that you can kind of pinpoint and say you got to watch out for this guy?
there are a few guys. I mean, Charlie Dennis sticks out as someone who does create a lot of chances.
Mhm.
And even beyond that, I've got a list somewhere. Where's my list? I mean, Juan Azakar is a good player as well. Edgar Arito as well. These are guys who are, you know, they're pretty dangerous for you. Look, it's there's just a lot of things about Oakland's team that worry me very specifically
Mhm.
going into this matchup. But you know what? We'll take a little bit from Rick. Obviously, we had the press conference today.
Mhm.
Let's take a little bit from Rick now. I did ask him. Obviously, Rising did reasonably well against Oakland last year, although they did manage to drop points in the game at Las Positas College. Thankfully, we're not going back to Las Positas. So let's take a little look to what he had to say about the changes they've seen.
I think this year they're far more expansive in their football. In their 3-4-2-1, they really open up the game. And then, of course, Lothar, I can't remember his last name, up front is a 9. He's a difference maker in this league. He's clinical, probably shouldn't be really in this league. I think I wouldn't be surprised if he's back in Europe next year. Both of their wing backs are very, very solid. And that's the biggest difference, is the change to primarily a back 3. With Barbier, Fuenmayor, and Clementa. And then they've got obviously Fisore and Hernandez in the middle that kind of dictate the game for them. So those two are very good in possession. I think last year they were probably a little bit more connected. This year they're more dynamic, and they've picked up guys that can really get forward on transition. They can really run with speed. Juan's opened up the game. He liked the 3-4-3 and the 3-4-2-1. He played that when he was assistant coach at Indy. So I'm not surprised that they're more expansive.
Right. So just something to note in there in the way that Rick's describing how they play. I fear that this will really cause some problems for Phoenix Rising, just in the nature of the system they run. And also, obviously, some problems that Rising currently have themselves. So the way that Oakland play, you need to really expect that they're going to push those fullbacks up. They're going to attack with those fullbacks. They've got a centre forward and 2 kind of attacking midfielders behind him. And what you've got the problem there is that you've kind of got 5 people spread out across. They're spreading you out across the width. And if you're coming up against a back 4, that's going to cause you some problems because, as I said, they've got 5 guys against 4 defenders. So really there, you'd really hope that you've got a bit of help from midfield, especially in those transitional moments. You've got a number 6 who can kind of slot back. The problem you've got there right now is that Kev Lambert is suspended for this game on Wednesday. He's picked up too many yellow cards. He's picked up a 1-game suspension. So now, from Phoenix Rising's perspective, you need to work out how you're going to counter them, knowing that the guy who's arguably your most important defensive midfielder isn't at your disposal. And so who's going to slot in? Who really slots into that role? Who can do it? Who can do it as well as Kev Lambert does it? Because I don't know who can do it quite as well as Kev Lambert does it. It's that kind of a problem. Sometimes those suspensions really catch up with you. And so it's definitely an area for concern. Quite how Rick's going to approach it, I'm not sure. We do know that the conversation in recent weeks has, of course, been that they're going to look at trying to keep things in the same system now. Rick has come into the talk about, look, we made all the changes in the past. We need to put that in the past. Now we just need to work on executing and making sure that we're doing what we do correctly, rather than trying to adjust too much in terms of changing up the formation, changing up the system, all of that. So if we presume that Rising is sticking with a back 4, then you really have to question who is going to be the number 6. How are they going to do it effectively? And how are they going to nullify that kind of 5-pronged threat that Oakland have?
Yeah, and that's one of the things I was going to comment, that looking at their system and looking at the way they play, this may be the worst time for someone like Kev Lambert to miss a game, because he does so much and defensively covers so much ground, covers for a lot of the defense, the defensive mistakes that are left out there that he has to kind of clean up for the rest of the team. So for him to miss this game, that's kind of my worry, leaving those gaps open. And who's going to pick up the slack? Is it Quinn? Is he going to kind of slot back a little bit more, play more defensively? But when you do that, you take away what he does best, which is his offensive ability, his ability to ping the balls forward to the forward. So it's going to be a bit of a chess match to see how Shantz adjusts to the system that Oakland's going to bring, and see what's going to be in store tomorrow. So segueing to my next question, what's going to be the middle 3? I see on the chat here we have Koze, Carlitos, and Harris.
I don't think that's going to be the middle 3.
About that one, but I expect Koze to remain there. I'm not sure if Anguiano is the answer to Lambert being missing. So Koze, Quinn, who's the other guy?
I feel as though if if Carlos was the answer to, I think we'd be in for a bad time. And again,
Mhm.
that's no slight on Carlos, but he's not Kev Lambert. He's not
Yeah.
that guy.
Mhm.
And I'd be really worried about being overrun physically in the midfield if it
Mhm.
featured both Carlos and Jose. I don't think you can put both of those in the midfield at the same time. But yeah, there are some real other problems there. Because what do you do? I mean, I see Reese here saying Haugley could come in. It's possible.
I love Hagley in the midfield. I've been saying it, but I'm not sure if he wants to play there.
And yet the conversation that we've had as well in the past is we don't want to see Joey Calistri in the midfield.
No.
And
Mhm.
yeah, I think that that's a realistic option. I think that it's something that we may well see. To Michael's point here about what does he see in Jose, he actually did bring Jose up quite a bit in terms of chance creation this past week, where he thought that he was doing well. I believe he said he was dropping into the half spaces well. He was doing a lot of what he had to do outside of the area that helped with chance creation
Mhm.
for the team this week. Because obviously, look, we've been talking about the fact that while this past weekend was very good in terms of creating opportunities, they created a lot of chances that were perhaps high percentage chances and just didn't finish them. Obviously, in the past, that hasn't been the case. Rising's expected goals totals is per shot is pretty poor, right? When we look at the number of shots they've taken, they're at the top of the league. But when you look at the expected goals per shot, they're at the bottom of the league.
Mhm.
So it's last weekend was a slightly refreshing one on that. It was just the finishing was missing. But I don't know. I feel as though I feel like we both agree we don't want to see Joey Calistri in central midfield. We feel that his he is better served put in other positions. But at the same time, in this situation, I do fear that that might be the move that happens.
Yeah, and looking at the lineup here, if you don't have Lambert there, if we're not comfortable putting Anguiano there, granted, I don't think he's even started a game this season, so it's tough, yeah, because if it's not him and you're not putting Haugley in, which you could now, because I don't know if the new kid that they brought in is ready to play, but if you put Haugley in the middle, you kind of free up Quinn in a sense, kind of let him do his thing and then poke Koza in there. I'd be comfortable with that, midfield to start. But other than that, I don't know. It's gonna be Haugley or Calistri if Anguiano's not ready to go either. So it's it's pretty tough.
Yeah, it's. To your point on Carlos, I believe he started in the cup.
There you go. Yeah,
Against
right.
he did start in the cup game away to Sacramento. In that midfield, and that midfield didn't quite work. I mean, Luis is another option.
Mm-hmm.
If he's good to go. He could be the option, but again,
Yeah.
I do slightly worry there that I just don't think you can replace Kev Lambert, and that's a testament to the player that he is.
Mm-hmm.
It's a testament to what he does in that midfield that you will never really manage to replace him when you have to take him out of the squad.
Yeah.
So it will be a
And I
tough
mean,
one,
in
no
that
matter.
case,
It
you
will be
can
a
put
tough one, no matter what. But this
yeah.
game is a really tough one.
Yeah, no, and there's no way they could replace Lambert. Someone like that is irreplaceable. I'm thinking maybe Quinn and Koze kind of just leaving them back as pivots and just letting Seijas, if he does start, kind of just be more of that 8-10 role. Maybe, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens tomorrow. But an interesting dilemma for sure.
Indeed.
Any other updates from the press conference, Owen?
Yeah, so one bit of good news for those of you who are looking on Arturo Rodriguez's return. He is back in full training. So there's some good news there. He won't be available for this game. They're hoping he may be available by Saturday. Probably not fully match fit by that point, but he is very near to recovery, which of course matches up with what we heard on the weekend. It's it's getting there. It's getting there. And that's good news. It's good news because Arturo's spark is something they've missed. When Arturo is playing at his best, he is a fantastic player in the attacking midfield. You just have to hope that you can get him back soon. Other than that, of course, we did have a little bit of talk. It come up in the press conference after the match on Saturday about positivity. And that seems to be the focus at the moment from Phoenix Rising management. They want to kind of drive people towards positivity. Here is that full answer. I know some of you will have seen it already on social media, but for those of you who haven't, let's just take a listen.
There's no energy vampires allowed in the building. If you come in here with your head down and you come in with a bad attitude, or you're negative, or you're yelling at people during training, I'll ask you to leave. It's just that simple. And if I have to ask you to leave multiple times, then you're going to have to find another club to play for. I won't accept it. I'm not going to, continue to coach this club and run this club with just an aura of negativity. So we have to turn it from the inside out. And if we start from the inside and we make it a positive environment, I think that the results will show on the field. And then once we start getting results, hopefully we turn everybody in our favor. I think for the most part, people are supportive and they're behind the team and behind the club. But it's really about the energy and the aura that you put off. As a human being, your heart has a lot of energy and has a lot of power. And when you're around people, if you can have a positive aura and you can have a positive energy, you can actually change the energy and the positivity in a room yourself. And then those guys then can expand that out to the club and then the fans and to everyone. But it's amazing if you're a positive thinker and you believe that good things will happen to you and you work hard for it, what can be achieved. And I think that, rather than constantly second guess and constantly willow and have self-pity, it was time to just roll up the sleeves and say, hey, we can have bad moments, but there's no bad days. And that's been my approach.
Have you seen more of a positive mentality in general within the team over these last, I guess, 2 or 3 weeks, 3 draws now, kind of building some momentum?
Absolutely. Of course, immediately after a 0-0 game, when you've taken 27 shots, there's a bit of frustration. But again, they have to look at the fact that they did get a shutout. They got a clean sheet. They played the way we want the game to be played here. And that's it. As long as everyone is on the same page, everyone approaches the game with the same mentality, you can achieve many great things. And I think that is very, very important. I've had a lot of individual meetings over the last 4 or 5 days before we went to Louisville, and I made it very clear that if there's any negativity coming from within the locker room, whether it's social media, whether it's spreading rumors or talking to people negatively about the team, then you won't be here. And I won't accept it, and we're going to move on, and we're going to continue to be positive, and the guys that are going to play and perform are going to have a positive attitude, and I'm excited about that.
Okay, so Ramon, obviously I got to hear this earlier as it was being said. I'm going to leave the initial reaction here to that and to what you think is going on up to you.
I understand why he's saying what he's saying. I completely understand it. Now, does it sound cliche? A little bit, but I understand why he's saying it. There's issues within the club, and by the way he's explaining things, there's obviously issues within the players and his staff, and as far as keeping positive and maybe what it's being said while they're there, they realize the state that they're in. I think everyone realizes that they're better than what their record says, but I don't know, man. Like these are professionals, like it's not. I don't feel like when you start telling people, hey, be positive or get out, it kind of seems like you're in a classroom. Like it doesn't really warrant the professional environment. Now, I don't know. I'm not in that. I've never been a coach. I've never been in that professional environment. But to me, that's how it sounds. Now, how the players respond, it's up to them. I understand why Rick is saying what he's saying. Maybe he's tired of the negative attitude that's within the club, but it can go both ways, the way he's explaining it.
I feel as though there's look, and I'm gonna say, I'll preface this by saying, right, I'm reading into this. I'm trying to work out what some of these comments suggest. We've been talking for weeks on this show about the fact that we don't personally believe, and the indications that we've been getting are that things have not been at their best, let's say, in the locker room.
Mm-hmm.
In return, we are told repeatedly that things are united. These are the kind of words we hear in the press conferences. Well, actually, the locker room is united, or that the boys would kind of do pretty much anything that Rick wanted them to do. Now, I'll at least say on those points now, if you are having to get to the stage of, you're not just kind of implying that there's a real threat to people who are dissenting voices, but you are outwardly, saying, if you are negative, if all of this, you will have to find somewhere else to play, and you've got that threat out there.
Mhm.
It kind of suggests the opposite. It doesn't make it seem as though everyone is quite as united there. And at the end of the day as well, it's almost like it feels almost like an admission when you start going around and saying, well, we had to have individual meetings with players to tell them about, making negative comments online or making negative comments to people outside of the organization.
Mhm.
If you're going to have those individual meetings, it kind of suggests that people have been doing so, which again, it goes against the narrative that at least has been being pushed.
Mhm.
It's just a complicated one. I feel as though
Yeah.
right now the question to me is this coming too late?
Mhm.
Because when it gets to a point where you have to threaten people that, look, you'd better be positive or
That's what it
else.
sounds like, honestly.
Right. Yeah, and that's never, you can't kind of sit there and expect people to say, look, smile or leave, which
Yeah.
is kind of, uh, it generally suggests that things are broken down to an extent that you have to have that conversation. Look, there are much more, I guess, milder ways of going about it if you genuinely believed that everything was in good shape.
Mhm.
There are ways of, look, you can have a conversation about the need for positivity where you need to attach the stick to it, the idea of the consequence if you aren't being positive. It almost suggests that things have decayed quite a bit.
Yeah.
And that's where some of the problem there is look, again, you're gonna, if you have to threaten people's jobs if they're not positive, it suggests that there's a real lack of positivity already in the group, and that's not just confidence. Not by what was said in those answers. It's not just a confidence issue.
Yeah, for sure. And to add some context to it, it's been a tough season. I'm sure, like I said earlier, it's nobody's happy with the position that they're in. So I don't think this is something that's been said for the first time. It's something that he's been trying to, make sure that it's sticking out there. And he's in a tough position as well. So I can definitely see maybe why it's gotten to this point, because he is basically trying everything to keep this group together and to move them forward. Now, what solves this issue? Winning. If the winning starts on the field, I think we're going to hear less and less of these conversations of like, hey, be positive, or hey, there might be some issues in the locker room. If the points are there and the winning is there, I think this conversation ends right there. Go ahead.
But that's a very simple way of looking at the almost symbiotic relationship between these two, as
Yeah.
Scott actually says here, which is, yes, winning can get you over it, but how do you win?
Yeah.
You normally need to have something involved there. And look, it's a question of, and I know our chat has strong feelings on this. They have for quite some time now. So I don't think that the stuff that's being mentioned in here is a shock to any of us.
Mhm.
But yeah, it's, you hit the point where it's just, can they turn it around always is the
Yeah.
question. And at some point it goes too far, unless you're going to ultimately really reshape the squad.
Mhm.
Yeah, but hey, let's end on a slightly positive one. I'm just really intrigued. I feel like, should I ask Rick tomorrow which, because I'm just intrigued where he's got the comment of, what was it? What was vampire something? Energy vampire, was it? Or
That's from that movie with the vampires, right?
what was it?
I'm just kidding. I don't know. I have no idea.
I'm
Is that from somewhere?
just confused. I don't know where on earth this vampire thing has come from. It's energy vampire. I can see it in the chat here. Someone's brought
Twilight,
it up.
So
I'm just confused. I'm intrigued. That's
You read it somewhere. Anyway, let's shelf this conversation. So we'll see what happens with that. All right, Owen, we got some news today about a new loanee joining Rising from LA Galaxy. Tell us about him. What can we expect? He has some pretty big credentials. U.S. national team under 20. He just took part of the CONCACAF Cup, which the U.S. won. Played a few games there. What can you tell us about Marcus?
Yeah, so Marcus Fakrenas. He is a US under-20 international, as you said. We spoke about him last week, of course, a bit. If you want to go back and take a listen there, we went in a little bit more in depth. He's someone who I can't say I was hugely impressed with his statistics, but I understand that as a player coming in, he's got pedigree. He's not. It doesn't feel the same as when Lamin Jaune came in and we looked at the guy and in the nicest possible way said, who?
Mm-hmm. We could find him on social media. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I'm just... we can find him on social media. It's a good start. Yeah, he's a player that we know is all right at possessing the ball in the opposition half. So he's better at that than most other players on Rising's team. He's someone who has struggled for game time with Galaxy 2 this season, but was a pretty big member of their team last year. I wonder, to Pat's question here, I'm not entirely sure what the plan is. Of course, we've been hearing about Marcus Fakrenas now for over a week almost, really, haven't we? Or around about a week at least.
Yeah, when I was on Twitter, some guy it was like an Orange County account was saying this.
Oh my God, we're talking about Logan on the PHNX Rising podcast.
I didn't say the name. I just said some guy from Orange County. He was already calling it, but
it's Logan. It's Logan.
There
Everyone in the chat here will know exactly who Logan is.
I'm new to this, so y'all need to fill me in.
Yeah,
but
who would have guessed? Who would have guessed that 16-year-old Logan from Orange County is the in the know?
He's breaking the news. From what I've seen, I saw a little bit of him during the U20 tournament for the CONCACAF. He strong, athletic, something that you definitely need in the back line. Yeah, I'll try to refrain, Christian, and Owen, you try as well. But it's
a bit late now. I've already said it.
You're the one that said. I didn't say. I had no idea. But like you're saying, it seems like he's been struggling. He was signed to a first-team contract, from what I'm reading, to play with Galaxy. Sorry, my dog is just right here. And he hasn't been able to make his debut, and he's only played twice with Los Dos. So it's not. He's kind of stuck in this in-between spot, and I think which kind of made him available. And so I hope that he's coming here to get some playing time. So because I know he'll be motivated. But from what I've read and from what I've seen, he's a blue chip prospect. He's obviously, that's why he's in the national team. That's why he's getting playing time there. But he's just young right now, and so maybe that's what he needs.
Indeed. Well, it's just a question then, of course, of look, a lot of these young players, they can be great to take gambles on. They can be great to bring in for depth, especially at this level. The problem again is that your Rising's chasing points. You'd ideally hope that acquisitions at this time of year would have more of an impact. They'd be people that you'd know would have an impact. And I'm not suggesting he won't have an impact. We've yet to see him take the field for Phoenix Rising. We need to see that before we make a judgment on him. But it feels as though it's a gamble. It's an understandable gamble in the sense, again, this guy has clearly some degree of pedigree if he's playing for age level national teams for the US. So clearly there's something there. The question is he what this team needs right now? And that's a question that hopefully we'll have answered in the next couple of weeks. But until that point, I don't know. Meanwhile, I'll just say in the chat, if anyone wants to send some super chats in, maybe Ramon will start with the dog content coming soon.
No, she's sniffing around right now. But
maybe we need to do those videos where they do the predictions
with the dog. Like just give them.
Yeah,
I'll try.
Start doing those with you. We'll get send us the videos in tomorrow. We'll get those on the PHNX Rising Twitter account.
Bella, come here. Say hi if you can. No? Okay, she doesn't want to. I tried. Maybe at the end of the show. But
so it's a vote for Oakland then. She's walked away from you.
Yeah, there you go. Before we talk about our friends at OGs, let's do some quick predictions, Owen. What are you thinking for tomorrow's game?
Oh, well, I'm not too convinced. I'm worried about the system that Oakland runs and the danger they pose in that system.
Mhm.
I'll also say that for anyone who's interested in making money, the DraftKings Sportsbook app have a Rising as a pretty big underdog.
Mhm.
So yeah, I'm not too convinced. For people talking here about Juan Guerra, he is of course suspended for the game tomorrow. Unfortunately, he was sent off on Saturday's match, so he will not be on the touchline for tomorrow's game. But yeah, there's some 4-1 Carlson. I was going to say hat trick or half
At
time. They were
halftime?
4-0 up against El Paso. I think it's a hat trick, is what he's suggesting.
That's what
there,
I'm really scared of.
Michael.
Yeah. So I'm not sure if Rising can go up there and get the victory, but if they do, it's going to be close. So we'll see. But here's the thing we haven't talked about. They have kept 2 clean sheets the last 2 games, one against Louisville, once against Sacramento. Make that what you will, but it is a clean sheet. So that's why Ben Lunt was chosen as the keeper of the week for USL Championship. So, take that as you will. But we'll see. We'll see what happens tomorrow in Oakland. All right, y'all. Let's talk about our friends at OGs for a quick bit. If you haven't yet, make sure to check them out at their website, which is ogsbrands.com. They actually just launched their first ever limited edition seasonal flavor, which is pina colada, which is a perfect pineapple and creamy coconut blend. So if you guys want to check them out, again, it's ogsbrands.com. You guys can get your product there. And if you're on social media, like I am all the time, you guys can follow them on Instagram at ogsbrands. And they always have cool stuff there. So make sure to check them out. And also, you can find their products at your local dispensary. And remember, you must be 21 years or older to purchase their product. Yes, sir.
Big social media kid that you are, Ramon.
Big old social media. I'm on that chocolate.
Speaking of social media.
Go ahead.
Speaking of social media, actually, shouldn't we give a little plug? How far along are we coming with the old PHNX__ Rising Twitter?
Last I saw, we were at 632. I'm trying to get rid of this thing. Y'all got
there. He wants to get rid.
I'm like, come on. Actually, shout out to, I think it was Michael. Thank you for purchasing it and shouting us out on Twitter. I really appreciated that. Let me double check here. There we go. We're at 631. All right, so not a lot of change.
Getting there. Come on, guys. If you aren't following me already, make sure to follow. If you've got any burner accounts, you can follow us with those as well. But, it's okay.
That's what the D-backs and the Cardinals are doing. So, help us out. But anyway.
Anyone wants to go create some bots that just follow us, that's perfectly acceptable. I'm not sure whether Twitter would see it that way. I'm not sure whether Elon Musk would see it that way. But hey, it's okay. We're giving you permission.
Yeah, I thought Elon wasn't buying it no more. I don't know what's going on. I gotta keep.
No one knows anymore.
All right, y'all. So let's talk about some stuff that's going around the USL. We do have 4 games tomorrow. Jeez. Okay, USL, I see you. Plus the US Open Cup semifinal between Sacramento and Sporting Kansas City. So before we talk about that one, let's talk about the 4 games that are going on tomorrow, which is Legion hosting Loudoun, RGV Toros hosting Hartford. We got, of course, Oakland hosting Rising, and then we got Las Vegas against San Antonio. So any of those besides the Rising one stand out to you, Owen?
Well, I'm getting the odds up now, so we can talk about these as we go on through. So Birmingham Legion against Loudoun. Birmingham, of course, suffered a loss to FC Tulsa this past weekend, which it was in Birmingham, that one. That's a tough game for them. Will they bounce back against Loudoun? Against Loudoun, you'd have thought so. They are not a very good team. No comment on which Western Conference team they beat at home, but they are not a very good team. So to me, I'm taking Birmingham Legion there. They're also very heavily favored. They're at -240. So yeah, I don't know if you think that Loudoun can pull off the upset there and walk into that stadium and come out with 3 points plus 450.
Look at that. Maybe
that's not bad. Not bad. Not bad at all. Then we look at some of the other games. What have we got here? RGV against Hartford. Now, this is the one that's interesting to me. And I mean, Michael here is saying, like, he's fallen asleep. I don't blame him. But here we go. This will be, if you want my bet of the day, I'm going to go with this one for my bet of the day. I'm going to give you I'm not saying necessarily it'll happen, but I feel like it's possibly the one. We've got a $5 shout out to Pat Moses here, by the way. Sorry,
Why are you doing this?
Pat sending in 5. You got to show the puppy now. It's
Here, Bella. Let me see. She doesn't want to. There we go. There you go. Hello. There we go. All right, she's not having it. There we go. That's all you get. Thank you, Pat. Appreciate the super chat. I'll put a picture of her on Twitter so that way you guys can see it. Anyway, go ahead.
So here's what I'm going for in that one. I think this is a decent enough bet. I think that a plus 160 Hartford on a draw, no bet. So not too risky. If that game ends a draw, then you get your stake back. It's fine. But I feel that Hartford have a chance at least of coming away with a result there. RGB have not been great. Neither have Hartford, of course. But hey, you never know. To me, it's a better chance of an upset than some of these other games here. Phoenix Rising against Oakland. We've just been speaking about this one. If you want the specific odds, I'll run through them. Oakland at minus 105. A draw is plus 270. Rising at plus 220. So there you go.
That 220? I don't know. You never know. You never know if Rising can.
You never know. You never know. And then we've got Vegas against San Antonio. It's got to be San Antonio, surely.
Yeah,
the way they're playing, I don't see them losing.
But it changes things, but never
I
know.
don't see them losing that game. At least maybe a draw, but I don't see them losing that game. I mean, I don't really see a draw either. But if you do think that Vegas Lights can get a result there, plus 320 on a Vegas Lights win, plus 280 on the draw. San Antonio minus 145. So the score prediction. Did we give score predictions earlier today? Sorry for the Oakland Rising one.
I said 1-0 Rising.
You said 1-0 to Rising. You know what? You can get on 1-0 Rising seriously now. 13-1. Go slap that money on. Come on, Ramon. Put the money where the mouth is.
1-0. Bring it home. I knew he was gonna be able to take that.
Some of the other predictions we've had in here are 2-1 from Christian. Just threw that one in there. So that's 11-1 at the moment on DraftKings. There was some 8-0 Oakland. I can't give you an 8-0. They don't give me 8-0. I'm sorry, Reese. Pat Moses 2-0. Is that? I mean, you put it as 0-2, so I'm taking it. That's to Rising.
Positive Pat. I like it.
That's 20-1. There's some other ones here. 3-1 to Oakland came up earlier. That would be 13-1. 4-1 to Oakland is 30-1. That's a
Carlson hat trick. I wish they did goal scoring in USL, but no.
Unfortunately, no. And this comment here saying a 3-1 Rising win, 22-1. So
yeah, you got to be positive in this chat, otherwise.
Positive odds. We're always positive odds.
There you go. So if you guys want to get in on the betting, make sure to download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. If you guys want to bet on the odds that Owen just let you know, you guys can use promo code PHNX, and when you make your first deposit, you get a risk-free bet up to $1,000. That's promo code PHNX only at DraftKings Sportsbook. Minimum age and eligibility restrictions apply, and make sure to check out the show notes for details. So that way you guys can get informed. But yeah, make some money. Use it for the super chat. Use it for some Four Peaks. Some Four Peaks beer. You guys can check them out. And actually, speaking of Four Peaks, the rest of the crew of the PHNX, the squad, I think all the shows except for ours is going to be at Four Peaks tomorrow. But that's not because we don't want to be there. It's because we can't be out there that late after the post-game show. So you guys can check them out tomorrow at the 8th Street location in Tempe all day, literally all day from like 10 to like 6 or something. But you got the Coyotes, you got PHNX Bets, the Suns podcast, PHNX Sun Devils, the Cardinals, the D-backs. There's never a dull day at PHNX, and especially if you're hanging out at Four Peaks Brewing Company. So check them out tomorrow if you guys can stop by for lunch, get a beer or something. You guys would be helping us out, and you guys can meet the rest of the squad. Now, we're also going to have a show.
There's also drink specials, sorry. Just to point out as well, there will be drink specials. So make sure to tell them that you are there with the PHNX gang, and I believe you can get some slightly cheaper pints.
Just tell them Owen sent me. And they're like, who's Owen? And you're like, Owen. from PHNX Rising.
Don't you know who I am?
Just bring your PHNX scarf and just like flip it around, like, you know who I am. Yeah, it'll work out exactly like that. But yeah, check them out if you guys can. We are gonna have a show tomorrow, a post-game show, but like I said, it's gonna be really late, so that's why we're not able to do it from Four Peaks. But you guys can check them out. Check us out after the game at Oakland, and yeah, hopefully it's a positive game and positive result. I mean.
Yeah, and we've got to look at. I know there's a few comments in here about the pitch. I've heard the pitch is actually a bit better this year at Laney. Yeah. So the pitch is going to be a bit better apparently than it was when they first played there last year. It will still be bright and fluorescent, so it's good. I don't need to bring any lighting with me because I'm sure that the nice fluorescent grass will, kind of get me there. Scott is correct here, by the way. Sorry that they only know if you mention the double underscore.
Yeah, if you say one, they kick you out. So you better add that second one. So I'm just kidding. No, they won't. But yeah, make sure to check them out. Bonnie here, Rising 1-0. I'm trying to be optimistic. Thank you, Bonnie. See, look at that. Some great energy here in the chat. So I always appreciate that.
Optimism. Overrated.
Oh my God. But yeah, make sure to check them out tomorrow at 4 Peaks if you guys can go. All right, Owen. Anything else you want to talk about today?
I feel like we've kind of hit all of the big ones here, especially because it's going to be another week of too much to talk about, too much going on, kind of just it's just all coming thick and fast. We don't get a time to.
Wow, look at that! Wow. Okay. Yeah, I'll be positive about it. Anyway, I'll stop. But yeah,
I'll tell you what. I'll give you one more set of odds here because there was one more request in here. What was it? Rising 2-0. That's 20-1. So
there you go, Scott. Put it in.
There we go. Dial it in.
All right, y'all. So that's it for tonight's show. We really appreciate you tuning in. Like I said, we're gonna have a show on Wednesday, and I believe we're gonna have another show on Friday before the game on Saturday. So game, show, another game, beer, show, beer, and then game. So that's our weekly schedule from now on. But all right, Owen. Well, thank you so much, sir, for all the information. Always appreciate you. Hope you have a great trip tomorrow. No delays. Hopefully,
should we get some Energy Vampire t-shirts?
Oh, I'm sure we could have stuff in.
It's becoming an awful joke in the chat now. Give up. Right. No, it'll be. Hey, look. Eventually, something has to turn around.
Scott,
probably.
I do not owe you a beer. Someone else answered it, and I want to get to the bottom. I think it was someone else.
Well, you're not getting it for Reese because Reese is a child, and I think he was the first to mention. Maybe.
No, it was someone.
What was the answer? Give us the answer.
So the answer is Telegraph Avenue.
Telegraph Avenue. Michael.
There you go.
Got you this early.
Sorry, Scott, but if I see you in the stands, I'll try to get you something too. So yeah. Reese, I wasn't gonna get you a beer. Sorry, Reese. I knew you were underage, but yeah, candy bar maybe. All right, y'all. That's it for us tonight. Thank you so much for joining us. We will be back tomorrow. Until then, be well, stay safe, and see you next time.